a little bit about myself. I received my AA degree at a community college. When it come to the science courses, I was never the type of student that just sit and study. So when I was going to a community college, I didn't have to do so much to get like at least decent grade. But when it comes to the science courses, I know I would have to put so much, because when applying to these nursing school, that's what they really look at. So I graduated with my AA degree, and then like I said, I've been trying to find a nursing school. I've been to so many schools, and every school they require like certain entrance exams. Some school require T's, some school require Kaplan, some school requires Wonder Lake. But the school I'm trying to apply to, they require T's. And for the people that took T's, you guys already know how hard it is. It's, even though people said it's a basic test, it's not a basic test, because you can't even say it's like the FCAT, because when it comes to the FCAT, they actually give you time on the FCAT. So when it comes to the T's, they have like they have math, reading, English, science. So it's like different section. They give you a certain amount of time. So let's say you finish with one section, you cannot move to another section. Yeah, you cannot. Well, you can move to another section, but let's say you finish that section and you have like, let's say 15 minutes left. You cannot use that 15 minutes to go back to a section you was having a hard time with. You just have to wait or click to the next section and just goes along. So it's like one question is like 1 minute. So when it comes to the reading portion, it's like most students, especially me, when it comes to the reading portion, it's like pretty much you have to like glance. Like it's like read the first paragraph, the middle, or the last. So if you sit there and trying to read everything, you're not gonna have time at all. So since it is a really hard test, some people they are good at test taker, but most of people like myself, when it comes to these time tests, my anxiety is just like, I can't. So therefore, I took the T's like 5 times, like 5 times. And honestly, like I said, when I was going to a community college, I was never the one to, actually sit down and study, but I would still get good grades. But when it comes to that T's, I remember working full time, and right when I come home, I put my bag down and just sit in front of that computer till it's bedtime, so I can at least have the minimum requirement one of the school was asking me for. So it's like I took the T's 5 times, and the 5 times I'm like, you know what? I can't. It was so draining, like to the point I was losing weight. I didn't want to eat. I'll be at work and the thought of that test just like kicks in, like that emotion. I'm like, I can't. But when I finally find this school, right after, well, before that's the school I started going to. But I was so young and dumb, and I just like, I messed up, and it was like a private school. Then I'm like, you know what? If I keep on messing up, getting these loans and financial aid, by the time I'm done, I'm not gonna have enough money for the nursing program. So I left that school. I went to a community college, and that's where I got my AA. So right after I got my AA, I started study for the T's. And then it's like I said, I went to, I can count how many school I've gone through just trying, to get into a nursing program. Finally, I went back to the school I started. So I went back, and then the requirement, it wasn't so much. Like you need the GPA, of course, the GPA, especially the science GPA and your overall GPA. So I have all those, especially the T's. I have the T's, so I was able to apply for that school. So I applied for that school, but way before that journey was like crazy. It was so crazy because, like I said, I messed up like when I first started going to college. I messed up. I think I was like, I was 18, and being young and dumb, I messed up. So it's like when you trying to get to this nursing program, you pretty much have to have perfect transcript. So I know, like, I needed to take some classes over to bring my GPA up. So I took I took probably I think 2 of my science classes, which was AP lab, the first and second lab. For some reason, the first time I take AP, when it comes to the lectures, I always pass the lectures. But when it comes to these labs, especially going to a community college, the way they teach you the lab portion, it's like they teaching like medical student. They'll put you in them little cubicles, like 50 question, 50 line, and it's like they put a picture, they put a little sticky note that pointing to something in that picture, and you have to know what it is. Not only you have to know what it is, you have to know how to spell it. One of my professors, if you spell it wrong, even though he knows what you're trying to say, the question mark wrong. So that pretty much messed me up because I'm more like a visual learner. So it's like I'm hands-on. I have to be hands-on for me to remember when it comes to the bones and the muscles and the brain part. When it comes to the lab, it's always a problem. Like the lecture, if I read it, I understand it, done deal. But the lab is always a problem. So that's pretty much messed up my my GPA because of these labs. So I had to take those classes over in some school. The minute you would take a class, you pretty much disqualified to apply for that program. So that right there, that gave me problems. So in another school, I went there, the lady calculated my GPA. Then she like, oh, you have to take this over, you have to take that over. I'm like, bro, do you know how many classes I had to take over? It's like every school you're trying to go to, they have a certain requirement. Okay, this class, I'm not going to take this class. Let me take this class. You're going to have to take this class with us. I'm like, no. To the point I'm like, you know what? Nope, that's it. I'm not taking any more classes. If my GPA is 3 point something, no, I'm not going to take any more classes and get all these student loans that I have to pay back later on. So I'm like, no. So I finally met the requirement for the first school. I started it when I was 18. So I met the requirement. And then, of course, since I messed up in that first college I started, so I was on academic probation. So when I left that school, I went to a community college. I completed my AA, so all my classes was able to transfer to that school. So I I tried the process to just, reapply, and then for some reason, I guess one of the dean, for some reason, I don't know, it's like he would not approve my how do you call it? I guess my probation. So he would not approve it, but he knew the whole time. So it's like when you in academic probation, you have to write an appeal letter. Mind you, he made me wrote 3 letters, okay? So it's like 3 letters. The first time he told me, okay, write the letter or whatever, I did. I wrote the letter. I emailed it to him, pretty much telling him what happened, what I'm gonna do differently. I did that. Send the email. Like days, weeks gone by, I never got a response. So after work, I drove over there. That's like probably an hour. That school was an hour from my job. So right after I left work, I went over there. I talked to him or whatever, trying to prove myself or whatever. Then he like, oh yeah, I understand or whatever. For me to write another letter. I don't know why. And I did 3 times. The 3rd time, of course, every time I would send him the letter, no reply, nothing. It's like he was playing games with me. So I'm like, you know what? The final email I sent him, it was the email he sent me pretty much. Pretty much he's not gonna approve it for me to resubmit it. I think it was like 6 months from now. I was like so pissed off to the point I'm like, you know what? The whole time he knew what he was doing. It's like, you playing games with my future, okay? So if you knew you wasn't gonna give me like a chance, you could have been like, oh no, whatever. So I left it at that. I just replied, thank you for the opportunity or whatever. So I just left it at that. So after the first school, I went to probably like 3 more schools. And then one of the school, of course, they take all my classes because I came from a community college. So they took all my classes. Then they're like, oh, you have to take 2 more classes. Okay. Took the 2 more classes, passed those classes. And then, oh, you have to have a certain percent in the T's. So I keep on trying and trying. I took the T's 3 times to the point I can't believe I'm laughing at it right now, because way back, like, anyway. So I took the T's 3 times to the point the lady that was ahead of I guess, getting the student into the program, she finally wrote me a letter saying, okay, she want to meet with me at after a certain time. I was at work, so I'm like, you know what? Right after work, I'm going over there. So right after work, I went over there. I was just hoping, like, when you so numb to a situation, you be like, what can be worse? Whatever it is, I take it. So I went over there. Okay, she sat with me. She pretty much told me, she was a very nice lady, I'm not gonna lie. She pretty much told me, she understand I'm trying to get into the program or whatever. But right now, since I can't meet the requirement, it is not the time for me to try another school to go for my LPN. So when I heard that, it's like, yo, I just took all these classes for the BSN program, okay? I took all these classes, and then now you're telling me to settle for LPN. Not that LPN, they're not nurses. I would never say that, because they are nurses. But the fact that when you have this, this thing in your head, and like, this is what I want to be. I want to get my BSN, get my other degree, this and that. So I'm like, that's not what I want to be. But of course, I didn't want to be rude or whatever. I just said, okay, Even though I was crying, she gave me tissues and stuff like that. Then I'm like, I'm gonna be okay. So I left. Of course, I keep on taking the teas. Keep on taking the teas to the point I met the requirement for the school. So one day I was just talking to my friend. I'm like, this is crazy. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I took those classes over. I have the GPA. Now I have the score, So it's like when you have this little voice, it's like, try the school that you've been trying to get in. Mind you, it probably was a year. So I'm like, why not? So I told my friend, okay, let me call you back. So I called the school that I started when I was 18, when that dean was giving me a hard time. I called the school. So I explained to the lady what happened, when I was going over there. I messed up, but I went to a community college and I got my grade together. Then I told her what happened with that guy that was giving me a hard time. She like, I understand because you're not the only one. Then she like, well, good news is he's no longer here. So you have a chance. You just have to, write a letter and send it to me. Let me tell you something. When she told me that, I grabbed my laptop, wrote the letter, and sent it to her. Then she called me. She like, okay, just send me your transcript or whatever. I did everything. Everything. Even my T-score, she didn't even ask for. I sent her everything. Then she like, okay, everything looks good. So I must send it. Then you should get a reply back in a few days. So the whole time, mind you, I'm like, oh my God, maybe I have a chance. Maybe I have a chance. So I'm just waiting. Then a few days later, she called me. She's like, oh, I got good news. You was approved. Let me tell you something. Even though it's not, me getting a letter saying, okay, you are in the nursing program. Let me tell you, I was so happy. I'm like, you know what? This is a step. This is a step. Then I'm like, okay, what do I have to do? Then she like, we're gonna take all the classes you took at the community college, but you didn't take like 2 classes. I was missing patho and a computer. I'm like, that's fine. So she signed me up. Within a week, I was, taking those classes. Then I wanted to make sure I wasn't wasting my time. So the lady that's in charge of the nursing program, I talked to her. I'm like, hey, this is my T-score. Some school, when you take it so many times, they just don't look at it. I'm like, pretty much I explained to her what happened, how many times I took the test. But when I was going through their the requirement, my T-score is a little bit over the requirement. So I told her. Then she like, oh, you're gonna have to talk to the director of nursing. I said, sure. So I was at work as always. So the director called me. So I told her what happened. I'm like, okay. She looked over my grades and she looked over my T-score. And she's like, yeah, we're gonna accept the T-score. So I'm like, oh, that's good. Then she's like, all you have to do is get A's and B's in the 2 classes you're taking. Okay. Like, I think it was like a month or 2 later, I finished with the 2 classes. Mind you, it was almost deadline for one of the application, the nursing application. It was almost a deadline. So I'm like, you know what? Even though I'm still in one of the classes, let me just send them an email saying, hey, I'm almost done, can I apply, because I have like 2 weeks left before the deadline. Then the lady that's helping with the getting the nursing student in, she sent me the nursing application or whatever. I applied, I submit everything or whatever. So I submit the application knowing I was still in one of the classes. I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. Even though I'm still in the class, whatever. If I get in, I get in. If I don't, I just wait till the next cycle. So although the director did tell me if I don't get in this cycle, most likely I'm gonna get in the next one because I'm still taking classes. So I submitted my application. Then it's like every day I'm checking my email. Every day I'm checking the mailbox. That one day, you know, I wasn't worrying about it or whatever. I went to my mom's house and I got the mail and I received this itty bitty envelope. I'm like, man, that cannot be an acceptance letter because it's so small. So I opened the letter. Even though I wasn't expecting it, I still had hope. So I'm like, you know what? I opened the letter, and what do you know? Hey, you've been whitlisted because you're seen taking classes. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Even though I was upset, but they did tell me there was a possibly, you know, there was a chance I might not get in. So it was fine. So throughout the whole time I'm driving home, I was numb, okay? Numb. I was numb. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it to God because I did everything, you know. It's not in my hand anymore. I did everything they wanted me to do, you know. I'm just gonna wait. So even though I was waitlisted, I called the lady. So I called the lady. She got all excited. She's like, oh my God, Nadesh. I'm like, yes. And she like, oh, you calling for the nursing program? Yeah. I'm like, yeah. I've been waitlisted, but I did all the classes that I was told to do, you know. And then she like, great news. Mind you, I almost cried, okay? The minute I heard great news, I'm like, okay, it's my time. It's my time. Then she like, oh no, I'm sorry. The fact that, you know, the fact that I was in that classes when it was already the deadline to submit the application, so they couldn't take me. So pretty much like, well, you've been whitlisted. If there's any chance somebody decide not to go through the program, we're gonna give you a call. Mind you, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I still have a chance. I still have a chance. So it was the final day. The final day, I'm like, okay, are they gonna call me? Because today's the last day. Are they gonna call me? I didn't get the call. In the letter they sent me, they're like, okay, if you don't get a call or a letter by this date for me to go into school, they're gonna give me another package for me to apply. So mind you, it was on the last day was the 5th. So on the 6th, since I didn't get a letter on the 5th, I drove to that school on the 6th after work. So I told the lady what happened. She like, oh, okay. I'm gonna wait for the director of nursing. She have to go through your grades, this and that, and after, I'm gonna send you the package in your email. So I'm like, wait a minute. She saw my grade, okay? She know my GPA. What is there for me to, you know, what is there for her to look at again? So I'm like, you know what, whatever. I'm like, okay, thank you. Got into my car, drove home. I was pissed off. It's like, I feel like I talked to you so many times, okay? I sent you emails so many times. It's like, you don't know who I am. Mind you, I understand there's so many students, but the way I've been on your butt, you should at least remember who I am. I understand you don't know the face, but the name should at least ring a bell. So I'm like, you know what? That's fine. So I've waited for like a week. No email. So I'm like, you know what? This is not right. So I email her, and I also CC's the director of nursing. Okay. So no respond. Okay, I'm like, what's going on? No respond. I call her, no respond. So I was at work. One of my coworkers told me, oh, why don't you use the work phone? So I used the work phone. Second ring. Hello. She answered. I'm like, now I'm upset. But at the same time, I'm trying to be professional, you know. Anyway, so I'm like, hey, this is Nadej. You know, I went to the school. I sent you plenty of email, and I left plenty of voice messages about the nursing program, what is going on. Then she's like, oh yeah, I remember you. I'm gonna send it to her right now. So that's when I said, you know what? Can you please tell me what's going on, because I've been waiting to get into a program for 2 years. If it's not going to happen in that school, please let me know so I don't have to waste my time. Then she's like, yeah, I understand. The way she was talking is like, she was feeling sorry for me. Then, probably 2 hours gone by, no email. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait till the day over. Tomorrow, trust me, I'm going to call her again. But before the day was over, she sent me the package. Okay? So, again, I went home, filled out the application, sent the same the requirement to her email. Then she's like, okay, great. I received, you know, the package. And she also CC's the director of nursing, okay? So I'm like, okay. So I didn't reply. I figured, okay, she sent it to me. I didn't reply. I just filled it out and sent it to her. Then, like, 2 days later, she's like, oh, did you get the application? I said, yes. Then I'm like, okay. No, she didn't ask me if I received the application. She emailed me saying, thank you, I received the application. If there's any question for me to call her. And she also CC's the director of nursing. Okay, so the deadline is January 15 for the program, but they have my application, so therefore I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. Hopefully, you know, not hopefully, I know God gonna open the door for me. I know I'm gonna get into that nursing school. I know there's a spot for me in there, okay? I know. So when the day comes, when I receive my acceptance letter, I will make another video. Thank you.